Hi everyone, welcome to Nick Barlow Radiology, and in this latest video we're going to be talking about how to record my CPD. CPD stands for Continuing Professional Development, and you'll have heard me talk about this on many of my X-ray interpretation videos. And in the UK there is a requirement from the HCPC, that's the Healthcare Professions Council with which radiographers are registered, to produce evidence of CPD throughout the registration period, which is 2 years and then renewed. Every 2 years prior to renewal, the HCPC will request an audit of a set number of radiographers. Now, these are selected at random, but you will be asked to provide evidence of CPD throughout those 2 years. What will happen is they'll ask you to provide a summary of recent work, so 500 words basically describing what you do, the nature of your role, the type of work you do, and then you'll have to give a detailed dated list of CPD activities throughout the 2 years. So ideally it should be at least 12 pieces spread across the 2 years, one every 2 months. Then you'll be asked to provide a personal statement. So that's a maximum of 1,500 words, which sounds a lot, but it's not really when you think about it, because you've got to go into detail on 4 to 6 pieces of evidence. So select 4 or 6 pieces of your best CPD evidence, and you go into a reflective account of that evidence, what you've done, what you've learned, how it's benefited you in the service. And we'll talk about how to write that reflection later. And then finally, you need to provide supporting evidence for those pieces as well. So whether that be a certificate, whether that be a presentation that you've given, meeting notes to say you've attended, it could be anything, as long as you show that you've actually done that CPD. So the aim of this video is to basically talk about how you would record your CPD after watching a video like mine, for instance, so that it's all there and ready in case you get audited by the HCPC. Now, you can do this any way you like. You can do this either via Word or a spreadsheet or any other platform. You can do it on a pen and paper if you want and put it in a folder. It doesn't matter. The Society and College of Radiographers do have a tool called CPD Now. So if you're a member of the Society and College, you can utilize that tool. And it is quite an effective tool to be able to put all your CPD together in one place. And I'm going to show you how to find and use that tool now, because it's been revamped and a lot of people are still a little bit unsure about it. So if we bring this up, first of all, this is the homepage for the Society of Radiographers, and I'm not going to search for it using these tabs. I'm just going to put in here CPD Now and scroll down to this here. And it brings up this page with this link, Access CPD Now here. It says welcome, and then it has a quick links section on the left hand side, and if we look down here we can see CPD Now, and we click on there and we're in. So this is basically a platform to put all the information about your career. You can put your qualifications in there and list of achievements, so it links quite well to your CV and any job applications. But there's also a section for accreditation as well, so it can link to things like advanced practice accreditation. But the thing that we're concerned about is the CPD progress section and CPD recording tools. And it summarizes nicely the pieces of CPD under each year, so you can map out exactly what you're doing and when. It links it to something called an evidence matrix. So the College of Radiographers has a set of professional outcomes, and these are everything from practical skills to knowledge-based, service design, finance planning, professional body, curriculum design. So as you complete each piece of CPD and you've written your reflection, there is a section where you can link it to these outcomes. And this section here, this is a summary, and it tells you how many pieces of CPD evidence link to those outcomes. So you can chart whether you're focusing on specific outcomes or whether it's more broadly spread. And depending on what you do for a career, will determine those, of course. So certain careers will focus more on certain areas. If you're a lecturer, of course, curriculum design, education, teaching, learning would be more prominent. If we go on to CPD then, and you go to add new, you'll be able to input a piece of CPD. Now, I've put these in as examples here. I've not written anything in the reflection for these. But this is just an example that I've put in to show you. So you could put the title of a CPD piece in here. So I've said reporting special interest group member. The date of the activity. So if it's a group or if it meets regularly, you can pick a date of the meeting, of one of the meetings, and you can expand on that in the reflection and say, look, this is something that happens throughout the year, once a month or whatever. This is a section where you write your reflection, and you can save it there. And we'll talk about how to write an effective reflection in a minute. But once you've put that in, you can save and continue, and it'll bring you to this page, which you can link to those outcomes we talked about earlier. So you literally just, it's tick box, you just go down and tick all the ones that you think that piece of CPD corresponds to. Save and continue, and then finally it will give you an option to input a file with evidence. So whether that's a certificate, whether it's meeting notes, whether it's a presentation or an article that you've read or whatever, it gives you the option to pop it in there so you've got that evidence. So if you link it back to what I was talking about with the HCPC and what they require, this covers everything that the HCPC want. So if you do all this process for every piece of CPD and store it, you've got everything there ready to literally just transfer across to them. So that's CPD Now tool. I appreciate it's only a very whistle-stop tour, brief, and you know, I think it's one of those things where if you go on and have a play with it, take some time, have a look at all the different features, then you soon get used to it. So if you're a member of the Sighting College of Radiographers, go on, have a look. It might not be for everybody. If you don't like it, or if you think it's, yeah, I'm not really getting it, I'd rather just record it in a Word document and save it. Absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. But I just thought it might be a useful tool for people that not everybody is aware of still. Okay, so that's that. And then the next thing I want to do is to talk about the reflection, that reflective section, because that's something that people always get a little bit anxious about, and they don't know how to record the CPD effectively. Here we go. So I'm going to bring this up here. So this is a PowerPoint. Sorry, I'm clicking things left, right, and center here. So really, the process of writing your CPD reflection shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, right? We don't need War and Peace 15-page account. But what we do need is it to be effective and to address the key questions. So there are lots of different cycles of reflection. If you're a third-year student, you're probably having nightmares about them because you expect it to use these a lot and reflect a lot in your assignments. But there's lots of different types. There's Gibbs cycle, Era cycle, Kolb, and there's also Driscoll reflective cycle, which is an earlier one. And Driscoll used 3 basic principles, which I think is really good. Some of these have 5 or 6 different sections, different stages of reflection, which is great. But I think sometimes we overcomplicate things too much, and it's nice to have it broken down and simplified. And I think this is, for people like me anyway, this is great. So the Driscoll one basically addresses it in the form of 3 questions. What? So what? And now what? What did I learn? How did it go? And what am I going to do as a result? And it's as simple as that. But obviously we can break it down a little bit more. So let's define the what first. The first thing you need to do in your reflection is provide a description of the CPD. What was it? What were the key components? What was the key information to be gained? What were the facts? And then you could talk about who was involved. So was it one of my videos where it was just me alone? Was it a big course? where there were multiple speakers from different disciplines. What time did it take place? When was it? Where was it? Was it on site? Did I have to go down to London to do a course? Or was it virtual? Is it on YouTube like this? Is it through Teams? Is it endorsed? So in the UK, and I'm not sure for other countries, so I'd appreciate some feedback on this, but in the UK, the College of Radiographers do endorse CPD. Now, you don't need to reference purely endorsed CPD for the HCPC. Anything can count as CPD as long as you reflect on it properly and evidence it. So the actual endorsement doesn't matter from that sense. But what it does do is it gives you an idea of the robustness of that piece of CPD and the quality. Because the College of Radiographers will measure it against certain standards, and somebody from the college will have to go and watch that video, see that presentation or whatever, and determine whether it has enough information and enough learning outcomes to meet their standards so that they can endorse it as an effective piece of CPD. So it just tells you a little bit more about the quality of the CPD. But as I say, you don't have to just use endorsed CPD for your HCPC. And it's important to summarize the key learning points, as I said. So if you use an example of one of my videos on Salter-Harris fractures, you could say that this video provides a description of the appearance of Salter-Harris fractures with diaphragmatic illustrations and X-ray examples. So what mediums did it use? Was it interactive? Did it use diagrams? Did it use pictures or X-ray examples? Was it just audio? Was it visual? Go into as much detail as possible. And that provides a good description for whoever's reviewing it, and then they know that you've done it. The more detail you go into, the more it proves that you've actually gone to that event. Then we move on to the so what. So what were your feelings before the CPD? What were your motivations for doing it? Did you lack confidence in a certain area of practice? Did you want to learn more about a certain positioning technique because you're not really that confident? Did you want to learn about a pathology because it's something weird and wonderful that you'd not heard of before? What were your motivations for it? Is it to progress your career? Is it provide better patient care on a day-to-day basis? Is it to be a more effective member of the team for your colleagues? Why are you doing it? What were your thoughts during and after the event? Did your thoughts change? Did you become more confident? Did you become less confident? Did it actually open up a can of worms in that there was so much information and things to learn, actually you don't know where to start? How did the other participants feel, if there were other participants? So for instance, my videos, if you're watching it as a group, which some people do, ask your colleagues, what do they think about it? Are they happier now they've got that information? Has it inspired you? Has it inspired you to go and learn more about that particular career or that particular technique or pathology? Was the course or event different from other similar events? So there are lots of courses out there, for instance. What was different about this one? Was it good? How practical was it? Did I have to travel down to London and I live in Dundee? And actually, it wasn't very practical and it cost a fortune. Whereas this one doesn't cost me anything and I can do it from home. What are the positives? What are the negatives of it? Was there enough information? Are my videos too short? So some people might say, actually, it's nice to have short videos because you can fit it around my daily life. I can listen to it on the way to work. Some people might say, actually, they're too short. I didn't get enough information. I like a little bit more detail about this or that. So it's really important to talk about how effective you thought the CPD was. Could it be improved? And what are the effects of it? How has it impacted me or my colleagues? Do I feel more confident? Do I need to go and learn more? And then that finally brings us to the now what. What are the implications of this piece of CPD? So it's all right describing it and saying, well, yeah, I felt really good learning, but what am I actually going to do with it? What am I going to take from this? How am I going to take it forward? How can I improve? So I always think, and I know I've said like, it's just a brief 10 minutes, this, okay. But I always like to provide a very brief action plan for the following year. So yeah, I've learnt this piece of CPD, but actually I've still got some knowledge gaps here. So what am I going to do now over the following year to help bridge those gaps, to help develop? I've learnt about this radiography career, which is great because I didn't think I'd be able to go into this, but now I know I can, but I still need to do this and I need this qualification. And this links in really nicely with your yearly appraisals, with your 360 appraisals if you have those, if you've got a mentor or a coach, you can talk to them about this as well. You can plan out your development based on your CPD for the following year or two. You can even do things like SWOT analysis, where you can identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you can, all from the CPD, you can sort of plan out your, this has made me more confident in this area, but actually, I now know that there's also this that I need to go and learn, but am I going to have time to do it? Am I going to have finances to do it? How can I plan out so that I can do it? Can this learning be repeated, or does it need to be changed? I really like Nick Barlow's videos. I want to watch more of them. Brilliant. Or is it a case of, actually, the videos aren't really for me? I prefer to go in person to an event and have different speakers talking about different things, or I like to just sit and read articles. Everybody learns in different ways, but it's useful to know how effective that piece of CPD was for you, and would you repeat it? Would you change anything? Does it need improvement? And what can I take moving forwards? This is the most important thing. This is why we do it. So it can change us as a person, it can improve us, it can improve our colleagues, our team, and ultimately it can improve things for patients, because that's why we're doing this at the end of the day. We want to provide the best service possible for patients, but to do that, we need to work to the best of our ability, and we need to adapt with ever evolving technologies and imaging techniques. And so it's really important to see how we can take this forward. And particularly endorsed CPD will have defined learning outcomes, usually in the form of a series of questions that you can take forward. So an example is another one of my videos on colonic transit studies. So one of my questions, learning outcomes, would be, what is your departmental protocol for colonic transit studies? Because every department has a different protocol, and that's going to determine how you evaluate the markers and how you report the x-rays. So that's something you can use for your own learning following the event. And that's exactly what they should provide. They should also provide links to any learning materials as well. Again, I always try to do that. I always try to link it to free ones as well, whether that be an article, a section of a book, or video, or whatever. It's nice to have something extra with more detail that you can go away and learn more about. So ideally, and if they're not provided, then you should be looking yourself. You should be researching that yourself. Where else can I go to further my learning? Excuse me. So, and that's it, guys. That's it. That's all you need to do. If you answer it in terms of the what, so what, now what, you've completely covered the reflection. And that, if you do that for your 4 to 6 pieces of CPD, that's more than adequate for your HCPC if you get audited. But even if you don't, it's nice to have these on record. It just shows that, particularly even when you're going for new jobs, it's nice to show whoever you're going for interview with, look at all the CPD I've done and look at what I'm reflecting on. And you can bring it up in your interview questions as well. You can talk, one of the best things about interviews is it gives you an opportunity to reflect and to show off your own skills and experiences. And by having these here, these are almost a script for you to go in there and reflect and say, this is what I've done, and this is an example of how I excelled in this and what I've learned in that. And so, yes, guys, it's not as daunting as it might seem. Really straightforward. As I say, you can use the CPD Now tool if you want. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can record it any way you want, but the key thing is that you get the reflection right. As I said previously, you'd be aiming for 12 pieces over the 2 years and 4 to 6 to expand on, which is basically just that reflection. As I've said, with the evidence as well, though, guys, you'll need to have some form of evidence, whether it's a link to the video, like one of my videos, whether it's a certificate, meeting notes, or whatever. It doesn't have to be just certificates. I always get a bit, my heart always sinks when people ask for certificates all the time, because you don't need them. You don't need them. It's all about the reflection. And you can always find, even if it doesn't have a certificate, you can find evidence that took place. And actually, by providing robust reflection, that is evidence in itself, isn't it? That you've gone to it. So I hope you found this useful, guys. I say you can use this reflection for all the CPD videos that I'll be providing on this channel, but for anything else in your own practice as well, so that if the HCPC do come knocking, you'll be ready. If you've liked it, please drop me a like. It makes a massive difference to the channel. Please follow it, subscribe, share with your colleagues. But thank you so much for listening, guys, as always. I do hope that you're finding these interesting. I am going to be doing some more videos shortly on X-ray interpretation for CPD. I'm also going to be doing some on careers, and we're also going to be having one on radiography in America. So it'll be really, really interesting. So watch out for that, guys. Okay. So thanks very much for listening. Take care and bye for now.